Hey everyone, how are you today? Woo! I dropped my book. Get my cute owl on. I got it at the art fair. So today I want to talk about, yes, we're talking about books today. Finally, get back to some books. I've been a little preoccupied. Books have not been paramount, unfortunately. I had to get that talk over with. So, maybe some of you who read the news saw a disturbing thing from the Washington Post. It said that 2/3 of millennials don't know what Auschwitz is. Now that's really upsetting. I remember in grade school and high school and all that, we had to learn about World War II and the atrocities that happened to people in World War II all over Europe. You know, and okay, I don't need any comment about what happened with Stalinist Russia. That's a different topic. We're talking about Adolf Hitler and what he did to Jews and gypsies and the mentally disabled and the gay and the political opposition. There were millions of people killed. And it's depressing that these people don't know. And it says, asked to identify what Auschwitz is, 41% of respondents and 66% of millennials could not come up with a correct response identifying it as a concentration camp or extermination camp. You know, when you forget, you repeat. That's why you're never supposed to forget these things. Could it happen again? I think it probably could. I don't know who would be the first people to be thrown in. I can take a guess. But, you know, people should never forget. And they should, when I was a youngster, maybe some of you in my age group can verify. They used to show these films in history class or social studies. Oh, they didn't spare you. No, you saw what the Germans filmed themselves because they were proud of what they did. They wanted to document every single person, nook and cranny, and whatever they did, they documented it. So it's on film. It's on celluloid. You can see it. And they used to show us, we'd have to be warned. And it'd be some of the most horrendous footage you ever saw. This was before CGI, so no millennials could say, well, that was fake. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. My grandfather, my maternal grandfather, was in the Army Air Corps. And one of the things he had to see was the film footage out of Germany. And my mom said he never spoke of it. He never spoke of it because it was just too upsetting. I had a teacher in 7th and 8th grade who actually was a young soldier. And he was one of the liberators, I do believe, of Buchenwald. And, we'd always say, oh, tell us war stories, tell us war stories. Not even thinking, we could be triggering this guy's PTSD, which they didn't call it back then. But, oh, he definitely had it. Absolutely. You could tell this guy was very deeply affected by what he had been through. He joined when he was 18. And he talked about going in there to liberate, and the Nazis in their haste had tried to kill off as many people as possible and impaled babies on bayonets. So that's the first thing that the Allied soldiers saw when they entered was babies impaled on bayonets. He said that everyone threw up. So what am I leading up to? My long discussion about the dismay that people are forgetting terrible events. And yes, there are terrible events all around the world, and there's been happening all over, and we should not forget any of them. But it brings me to a book. If you are a young millennial, who I don't think is watching me, maybe one. But anyway, you need to have this book. It's called I Never Saw Another Butterfly, Children's Drawings and Poems from the Terezin Concentration Camp, 1942 to 1944. Now, I have the expanded second edition with a foreword by Chaim Potok. There it is. Now, what's interesting about this is the Terezin concentration camp was meant to be a faux concentration camp. It meant to be, it was, outside, it was in what was called Czechoslovakia back then, outside Prague. It was supposed to be a model camp. It was the Nazis to fool the Red Cross, because, the Red Cross are such upstanding people. And they would come, that's just me making a comment, and they would come in and they would, to look at this, you can also known as Terezin Stadt, but Terezin. And it was meant to show this model camp, how wonderful that these people were living in. And it didn't matter that between 1942 and 1944, only 100 people survived this particular camp. So this book is very interesting, and it says there's a total of 15,000 children under the age of 15 that passed through Terezin concentration camp. And out of those is the 100 that survived. And so what they did to pass their time was they wrote poems, they wrote stories, they drew pictures. So you can see, and it was almost like an artist colony where they sent most of even the adult musicians and artists. They went there and they instructed the children. As I said, it was supposed to be this, look, we're not doing anything terrible to these people. Look how happy they are. They're indulging in art and the arts, and they're playing their instruments. And so you can see, hopefully you can see, these beautiful drawings done by these young people. And it's just heartbreaking because that only 100 survived. Some of them are long, and some of them are short. I'm only going to read a couple. I don't want to keep it too long. I'm going to read one and then one famous one. So this was by Eva Sholozova. I don't even know how I can say it. Sholozova. There you go. I just had to break it down. Sholozova. Eva Sholozova. It's called An Evening in Terezin. The sun goes down and everything is silent. Only at the guard's post are heavy footfalls heard. That's the guard who watches his Jews to make sure they don't run away from the ghetto, or that an Aryan aunt or uncle doesn't try to get in. 10 o'clock strikes suddenly, and the windows of Dresden's barracks darken. The women have a lot to talk about. They remember their homes, the dinners they made. Then some of them argue. Others try to quiet them down. Finally, one by one, they grow silent. They toss and turn, and in the end they fall asleep. How many more evenings will we have to live like this? We do not know. Only God knows. So it's a very sad little story, if you want to call it that. This young girl wrote. And now we're going to just finish it up with the famous thing that maybe you have heard. I hope you have heard. It was actually from, let's see, they do their dates backwards. So April 6, 1942, by Pavel Friedman. It's called The Butterfly. And there's a nice picture there. The very last, so richly, brightly, dazzling yellow, Perhaps if the sun's tears would sing against a white stone. Such a yellow. It is carried lightly way up. It went away, I'm sure, because it wished to kiss the world goodbye. For 7 weeks I've lived here, penned up inside this ghetto, but I have found what I love here. The dandelions call to me, and the white chestnut branches in the court. Only I never saw another butterfly. That butterfly was the last one. Butterflies don't live here in the ghetto. And then there's the drawing. I don't know if you can see that. So please, millennials, if you have never heard of this book, please go to your local bookstore or go online. They should have it in both locations. It is simply called I Never Saw Another Butterfly. And it's children's drawings and poems from the Terezin concentration camp, 1942, 1944. It is sad in a way, but it's uplifting in another way, that these children could find some solace and hope and love with the people that they were surrounded with, and they could express themselves through music and art and the written word. So there you go. That is my recommendation for today. Won't set you back too much, but it's definitely something that everybody should own in their library. I mean, of all the books you see behind me, and all the books over there, and the books over there, and other books you don't see, this is definitely goes into the top 10 of something that you should have. Hope you liked it. Leave me a comment. Be nice. I don't cotton to those mean comments. If you are somebody wearing a hat made out of Reynolds wrap, I'm not interested. Unless you send me the pattern. Alright, have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!